Yeah, so guys, this is, hi Vanessa, don't you look nice today? Let's see. So this is one that we will definitely put into the YouTube, into our YouTube channel. Amanda Gleason, good to see you. We'll put this in the YouTube channel, and please make sure you share this one with friends. Lori, how you doing? Lodi here. Look at that. Look at all those people in Lodi. Look at them. Good morning, Lodi Association of Realtors. Do you guys see that one room filled with people? Wow. I'm embarrassed. I'm going to get off now. Bye-bye. I'm kidding. All right. So business planning workbook. You are all sent. If you're on the email list, I want to get this out. Please pay attention to this part. I'm going to put Gina's email address in here. And if you are not on the email list for the free Friday coaching call, this call, then you need to let Gina know by email that you'd like to be included in the email list. Every week when that email goes out, the business planning workbook and a lot of other great documents to help you sell more real estate are all in there every week. You just got to do it down, and they're in the form of links, not attachments, so they don't take up any room, any space on your computer. Now, this is business planning season, October 1st, the first day of the last quarter, the ability for you to really change the trajectory of what will happen in 2022 by what you do in the last quarter of 2021. Please listen to those words. Your trajectory for 2022 will be decided by your trajectory in the fourth quarter of this year, this now, October 1st to December 31st. Now, the reason this is such a big deal is not so much about the exercise of filling out a business plan workbook, which we will not do today. Today, we will just go through the workbook, help you get an idea of the mindset necessary for you to complete a business plan workbook. Whenever anybody is doing a business plan workbook, the number one thing you are fighting against, and I mean this, it's the reason I'm raising my voice. The number one thing you're fighting against is this thing called I'm not enough. All right. Now write that down if you have to remember, because it's going to show up in your head and you're so used to it that you don't even know it's there. You look at the question and you say, what do you want from me? You want me to tell you what my life and business look like 5 years from now? What are you, nuts? I don't know what my life and business looks like tomorrow. Right? And that's the frustration of when we are working. This is not something that I'm telling you that doesn't happen for me and every coach I know. Like, coaches struggle just like the people they're coaching. When I started dating my wife and we were all involved in a coaching program, it was cool that I got taught there that you don't accidentally get assigned a coaching client if you're a coach. That coaching client's been aligned by the universe and God to end up in your lap, because you're going to learn as a coach as much from them as they are going to learn from you. And it's the same thing when you fill out a business planning workbook. You start to really notice how many people you went through, and then this person came along and challenged the very being of who you were, both as a coach and a human being. And when you're looking at your business plan workbook, you're saying to yourself, how can I do this? How can I do that? And that's what I want out of your mind. All right. My wife and I have disagreements on something called, and I'm going to use one swear word, I apologize, but it's my call, so I get to have a little leeway that way. But I always believe in this thing called big, hairy, audacious goals. Goals so big, so hairy that they're scary to you, and that even if you only get halfway there, you're still a lot further than you would have been if you had set the goal you originally went to set. Now, my wife, because of her behavioral style and her personality, she would be more about, no, I don't want no big, hairy, audacious goal. I want a no shit, no kidding goal. What's your no shit, no kidding goal? Like, you're going to do it. And there's a difference in that kind of thinking, but remember, none of it is right or wrong or good or bad. It's what works for you. Now, I have never presented that before last year, because last year around Christmas, when I was doing my big, hairy, audacious goals, she was saying, what's with this big, hairy, audacious goal thing? You've been teaching that. And she had been in one of my classes when we barely even knew each other, where I used that term back in 2005. And we didn't start dating till 2008. And it was really like, she went on to be a great coach and speaker and trainer in her industry, in the network marketing industry, while I was continuing to be a coach and a trainer in the real estate industry. So I want you to think about that, like what works for you in the way of big, hairy, audacious goal setting, right? Now, if you're doing a big, hairy, audacious goal, typically you would not hit your goal. Typically you would not hit your goal, but you would end up in other words, the old saying, right? Shoot for the moon and you may end up again amongst the stars, right? That's a really good saying. And I remember that as a kid. Shoot for the moon, you may end up amongst the stars. Well, that's the great thing about big, hairy, audacious goals. I've had a goal running, a big, hairy, audacious goal running for the last 5 years to take 100 listings in a year. And I still haven't done it. But guess what? Every year that I've had that goal, my number of listings I took this year, I will beat the last 6 years in number of listings taken. I won't hit 100 listings taken, but I'm a lot closer than I've ever been. And I may have this year, I don't know yet because I don't know the count, taken more listings than I ever had in my career, because the highest number of listings I took in a year was like 67 or 68. So I don't know the numbers yet, but I'm saying shooting for big, hairy, audacious goals works for me, because then I'm not disappointed when I don't hit it. I just want to see. So the big question about hairy, audacious goals is lying to yourself, right? Are we lying to ourselves when we set a big, hairy, audacious goal? No. Set your goals, ladies and gentlemen. Here's your goals. If you can eliminate the worry about how I'm going to reach those goals and just really have the intention to reach the goals, when you have the intention, you set a to-do list. This is where we lie to ourselves. This is where we're full of crap, on the to-do list, not on the goal. So if we have that basis of for our going into the act of doing a business planning workbook, if we have the understanding that don't do a to-do list that you won't do, that's bull crap. That's lying to yourself. All right. I knew that if I had to get 100 listings in a year, that I was going to have to set aside a minimum of 1 hour a day, 5 days a week to lead generate specifically for listings, FSBOs, expireds, door knocking, whatever it was. And I still to this date have not completed that commitment. So what am I doing? I'm setting a big, hairy, audacious goal, but then I say, here's my to-do list to get on track for that. And wait, I didn't even do the to-do list. Okay. Now, is it possible that I did everything on the to-do list and still didn't reach my goal? Absolutely. You don't get to control the results. You just get to control the activities. Can you tweak your results? Can you tweak your activities? Yes. Someone goes out, knocks on 200 doors, doesn't get a lead. They come back to me. I say, what have you been saying when they open the door? What have you been doing? How's your body language? And we can tweak that, right? So activities beget results, but activities also have to be tweaked. So I'm going to share my screen with you. All of you, I don't know how you got on here. Gina, could you please put the workbook in the chat group one more time for me?
Yes.
And then you guys can all open up that link now, and I'm going to share it with you, but you can have it up on your own screen if you want in front of you, or you can print it. All right. So this is the business plan workbook. It is supplied to us compliments of Workman Success Systems, the company I coach for. And I love this business plan workbook. Many of you have heard me say this year over year. In fact, I think our big association office there that's in I think I did this for you last year, didn't I, guys? Do you remember? Maybe some of you were there, some of you weren't. But this is something, and by the way, I'm doing it in Modesto for you guys over there in Lathrop and that area. I'm doing it in Modesto on November 17th, just FYI, in person. So anyway, so let's look at the table of contents, the most important parts of this business plan workbook, and keep it, print it, hide the link, save it, because once you get 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 done, you want to do number 5, SWOT analysis, every year, but you want to make sure, you got to remember that 1, 2, 3, and 4, once you've done them, they're done, right? So if you haven't done them, or you did them last year, because there's a lot of you on here that I know, you can remember that strategic plan, Let's go to that really quickly. That's our first one. Remember, we're not going to wait for you to fill it out today. We're just going to zip through it and make sure you understand the mindset and the reason for the questions and why it will help you drive your business. Okay. So the first one is strategic plan. There's 9 questions under the strategic plan. I'm going to adjust my seating there. There's 9 questions. And the first one is, now remember, a strategic plan is how, in other words, it's like knowing the end of the movie, but how am I going to get to the end of the movie, right? You watch a trailer and you know kind of the suspenseful parts, but it's like, what does my life look like? What does my life and business look like 5 years from now? Now, remember this booklet, I hope you're paying attention to this, and make sure that you know that in the emails, you'll get the recording of this to watch over again while you're filling it out, is that a strategic plan in this booklet is 5 years, 1 year, and 6 months. However, I want you open to the idea of strategic plan. You could do a 100-year strategic plan and then bring it down to 50 years and then 25 and then 20, 15, 10, whatever. I like to do a 20-year strategic plan, and I haven't yet, but I'm pretty clear on my 5-year strategic plan. And then, of course, bring it down to 1 year. Now, if at the end of 5 years, let's say you're newer in real estate, let's say you said at the end of 5 years, I want to be doing $500,000 in GCI, gross commission income. And that GCI stands for what you collect when a closing happens before anybody takes anything. All right. So if you're getting 3% on a 500,000 deal, that's 15,000. So anyway, so yeah, so this, if you do that, what I want you to be thinking about is, if I want 500,000 at the end of my 5th year, then at the end of 2022, I want 100,000. At the end of 2023, I want 200,000, that kind of thing. So you're building on that. That's what your strategic plan is. But this one, remember, combines business and life. So it says, what do I want to achieve in my business in 5 years? Then it goes on to say, what do I want to achieve in my life in 5 years? Now think about the difference. We often focus on it. We might not be paying attention to our life, to our relationships, our physical well-being, our health and wellness, our mental health and wellness. Maybe we're not paying attention to all that, the relationships that matter most in our lives. You've all probably seen people in your lives that were super successful and they look like they were one pizza slice away from a heart attack, right? So it's no balance in their life. The main thing that you want to do is be looking at everything at one time, because there is a rule in the development of human beings, and this rule is accurate, and this is it. Human beings do everything the same way. If the way you do real estate is the way you're going to do life. No matter what you think, you might say, oh, my real estate's in a box, my relationship's in a box. That's not true. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything, and it's going to show up over and over again. So don't resist it, accept it. All right. Now, it goes on to say, what do I want to achieve in my business in 1 year? Remember, we just said 5 years. Now we're saying 1 year. And what do I want to achieve in my life in 1 year? Those are things, right? You've all talked about weight loss. I remember many years ago in 2011, finding out that weight loss wasn't as important as fat loss. Like for someone like me, I have a family that has a history of colorectal cancer and diabetes and high blood pressure, all of these things, all of the cholesterol, high blood pressure, diabetes, and colorectal cancer, all of those things run in my family. So the doctors started warning me, they're like, oh, you're, at 57 years old, we want to put you on a statin. I said, I'm going to beat that. I'm going to work it out. And one day my doctor yelled at me and he said, you're not going to beat genetics. Take the damn pill. I'm still resisting, like I'm doing it because I want to live longer, but I'm still looking for other answers to be the best I can be. So it's always about what's going on in your life while you're going on in your business. If you're taking great care of yourself, then you have more energy to kill it in your business. That's why I'm in probably one of the best physical health parts I've been in my life. I mean, over the last 10 years, I've been shifting on that. And I'm more energetic about my business than I've ever been. Remember, guys, I'm going to put something on. I'm going to tell you about something right now that's not on here. Gina, if you're still on, type these into the chat for me, please. Hungry, humble, smart, and coachable, in that order. every one of us needs to strive to be hungry, humble, smart, and coachable, not one or two or three of the four, but all four all the time. If you are being all four, now look, I'm almost 42 years in the business. Sometimes I'll be honest with you, I struggle being humble or coachable. I don't usually struggle with smart. I mean, I feel like I work hard to be smart. I learn, I study, I absorb. My brother, my late brother, who passed away many years ago, was a genius. He had genius IQ. It was so no issue for him to learn, yet I was struggling to learn. I was studying longer and longer hours than he did. So everybody has their thing. You got to know it. But if you remained hungry, humble, smart, and coachable every day in your life, and you are using that in your life, then you're going to find that filling out the strategic plan is a lot easier. Then it goes to 6 months. I'm going to skip over that. So 5 years, 1 year, 6 months. Now let's look at the last three questions. How will I know I'm making progress? That's a big question. Have benchmarks, right? I sometimes mess up on this. I'm the coach and I'm telling you this, but I sometimes mess up on it. That it's not something that I'm really good at remembering to check in on benchmarks, okay? I sometimes just ignore it on purpose because sometimes I'm even afraid. Remember, what did I tell you in the very beginning? Sometimes you're balanced by this thing that I'm not enough. So if I look at my results, I fear that it'll convince me that I'm not enough. Does this happen to any of you, or is it just me? And I can't believe it's just me because it's humanity. So think about that. Like, why don't people look at results? It's the same thing with why don't people answer the phone call or the door when they're behind on their bills? Because they don't want to face the reality that there's some issues that they haven't really stepped up and taken care of. I remember when currently my 35-year-old, when he was 27, he came home from college. He was in college very late in his life, and he had all these parking tickets that added up to like $1,200, $1,500. It was a lot. And I said, why didn't you tell us? He said, well, I thought it would go away, and it's just getting worse and worse. You get that? Like, we do that a lot. I thought it would go away. I thought it would take care of itself. Yeah, we can't sweep things under the rug. We got to be in reality about them. What's the biggest pain in my business right now? Ladies and gentlemen, like, as a coach for over 28 years, this question has often been answered with consistency or lead generation. The two things that are biggest pain in most people's business is consistency or lead generation, something to do with lead generation. If I ask a guy running a big team and I say, what's your problem? You know what they never answer? They never answer that my problem is leads. They might answer that my problem is conversion or consistency, but not leads. But for the majority of real estate agents, it's just consistent lead generation. But the word consistency in itself is an issue in a lot of people's businesses, and the word lead generation or prospecting is an issue. You get to decide the answer to this question, not me. I'm just making sure you understand why we asked the question. And then number 9 is give yourself some damn credit for what's going really well in your business, right? This is all about, oh, I suck here, I suck here. Where do you do very well? What's something you do very well? What's going really well in your business right now? And all of you have something, but a lot of you will look at it and say, oh, I've got bills and I'm not making much money. No, it's not about what you're not doing. It's not about what's not going well. It's about what is. And if you just stop to pick something out, you can pat yourself on the back and really understand that I got to build on those strengths that I have, right? What's going really well in my business right now, as my answer, is referrals from real estate agents, from consumers, referrals. So what do I got to do? Well, I don't say, oh, well, I'm doing really well there, so let's not pay attention to that anymore and go do this. No, build on that. If something working, do it, have it work more, but also build. I'm not getting as much new business. How can I get more new business? Well, that comes from lead generation. All right. Now, the big one, the second big one, we just did strategic plan. The next one is personal objectives for the year ending December 31st, 2022. What do I want to be different under these 6? Now, there's only 5 here, but I'm going to ask you to add in writing the word finances down at the bottom. What do I want different in my family by the end of 2022? What do I want different in my faith by the end of 2022? In my fun, in my friends, in my fitness, and in my finances? What do I need to do? How do I need to change? I got to tell you, the finances one for me has been a big challenge over the past 12, 13 years. Is, going from always having money and squandering it really to having none, and then living paycheck to paycheck. So what did I have to do? I had to get smarter about understanding finances. So I could either go to classes I got lucky. I married a woman who was very smart in finances. So I didn't have to go to the classes. I just went to my wife and I said, here, handle this, fix this, make it go away. And because of her habits around finances, how did she learn how to be so good at finances? You know how she learned? She had to file bankruptcy in 2008. And she said, this ain't ever happening again. I'm going to go get educated on how to be a smart financial person. And now she's a financial genius, right? And she uses resources. Go step back a bit. The reason people get into trouble is they think they are born to know everything, and we're not. This is where the biggest problem in real estate right now is for real estate agents and mortgage, title, escrow, insurance, closing attorneys, in all of those fields that are related to the real estate industry. The number one thing is the unwillingness for a person to ask for help. We were raised, most of us, with some idea from almost any culture you can think of that asking for help was a sign of weakness, when in fact it is a sign of strength. The fact that you can get over the bullcrap that you make up in your head about what it means about you when you have to ask for help and just ask for help. You are not a specialist in all areas, okay? It's important to understand that. I am not. And I have succeeded more in my life this last year and a half, 2 years, by constantly asking for support. And it's painful for me to ask for support. My wife reminds me, right? She'll yell from across the house, hey, honey, do you need some help with this? And I'll go, no, thanks. And then she'll yell from the other room, is that you refusing support again? Like, she reminds me I'm refusing support when it's been offered, or when she feels like I could have asked for it and I didn't. Think about how that shows up in your life, okay? So the main thing is there that we are focusing on learning to be better. So I want you to add finances as the 6th one on here, and look at this. You really got to start to know, like my wife, my sister, and of course me and my brother and sisters don't have our parents. They passed away. And I heard her talking to somebody the other day about her relationship with her mom. And she said, oh, the one lady said, oh, her mom doesn't want to be around her. And she said, then I don't want to be around her. And my sister said to her, she said, take this from a person who doesn't have her mom anymore. Do whatever you can to mend that. Whatever you can to mend that. It doesn't have to be about you being right. It's okay to be wrong and have the relationship. Okay. So when you look at these 6, right? Family, faith, fun, friends, fitness, and finances, it's okay to be wrong to have the life you dream of. Okay. All right. So we're going to move on. The next one is core values. This one we'll spend a little less time on. Core values is certain, the things that really, the values that you have that mean the most to you in your life, and you want to surround yourself with people more. Now, they could be anything, right? They could be integrity, honesty. They could be punctual. Punctual could be a value, right? People say, well, that's not like integrity. Bull. Punctuality is about integrity, right? Maybe it's community for you. Maybe it's collaboration. So I'm going to quickly stop share, and then I'm going to pull up my our website. I think we have our core values on our website. Let's see, rickjihadteam.com. Let's see. I don't know where it would be. Core values. Here it is, under the heading core values. Where is it? Oh, it's right there under the heading core values. Let's see. All right. So if you look under right here on, by the way, if you want to go to this website, it's rickjihadteam.com, and look right here, our core values, right? Our mission statement is right here: to improve the lives of all we serve. Gina, you are amazing. I can't believe you already changed that since I talked to you about it yesterday. But to improve the lives of all we serve is our mission statement. And our core values are right here. As we serve our clients, earn their trust, and build strong relationships, we choose to be happy, communicate openly and honestly, live with passion, put clients' needs first always, show gratitude always, persist until we succeed, act with integrity always, exceed expectations, create amazing experiences, stay humble, be respectful, be positive, and we also welcome and support others to achieve their own success. Now, these are big deals to us. And a lot of our core values are in this book, The Greatest Salesman in the World. If you've never been on my free Friday coaching calls, which this is, we do them the first and third Fridays of every month. For 3 years, we did them every Friday. But if you've never been on them before, we really honor and respect this book, The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino. And this book has what they call the 10 scrolls. And one of them is, we persist until we succeed. And this booklet has been a big guide to me. I first learned about that book in 1993, and I started using it again very religiously in 2015. So it's good for you to have that book and work through it. Okay. By the way, guys, if you didn't see Gina has put in there the link for the business plan workbook. So you want to keep that, share it with everybody. It's compliments. That's what I love about the coaching company that I coach for, because they're willing to give stuff away to help everybody have a better life. Okay. And Joseph Trujillo, I love that you went from bald to long, beautiful hair. It's amazing. I can't believe that you've done that overnight, Joseph. So thanks for being on the call. I'm gonna go back to sharing my screen with the workbook. I've lost the workbook. Hold on. I know what I did with it. Right there. Okay. I could be more talented in the tech department. Okay, so the core values part. A good thing to do with core values, ladies and gentlemen, is to collaborate, meaning a bunch of you get together, friends, other offices, and say, what are the things that are important to me? When we did our core values the first time, we had 42 of them written down. As you saw, we took them down to 13, because you can't just ramble on and on. You really got to do it. And you've got to understand that when people come onto your team, that they've got to commit to the core values if they're on your team. But the more you live, breathe, and act like your core values, the more you'll attract clients that are within those core values. Okay. The next one after that is the mission statement. And there are 5 guiding questions to get you to the mission statement. Now, below here, look, there's this example in the booklet on page 9, and it's a horrible example. I'm trying to get them to take this example out. The reason is it's not powerful, it's not memorizable, and it's too long and rambling. Now, I'm not going to say mine is perfect for sure, but man, we went down from 2 or 3 paragraphs to 1 sentence over a long period of studying and working and collaborating with other people to improve the lives of all we serve, period. Now that encompasses a lot, but a lot of times we want to say how. We don't need to. The mission statement is just what answers these 5 questions. And the 5 questions are: why am I in business? What makes me unique? What do I want to be known for? What do I intend to do better than everyone else? And what do I want to accomplish in my business? If you think about mine, for example, and like, again, I'm just using mine as an example, is why am I in business? To improve the lives of all I serve. What makes me unique? I improve the lives of all I serve. Like, that answers all 5 questions. So you want to work on this. Again, collaboration. Get with somebody you know, love, and trust, somebody who's got your back, somebody that cares as much about your success as you do. Sometimes it's your significant other. Sometimes it's somebody on the team. Sometimes it's a lot of people. All right. So it's important that you do that in your mission statement. Okay. Again, get rid of this example. And this is a good one to scratch out, guys. You can work on this. If I if I click on that, I can type in here, it's an editable PDF. But I like to print it up, write it out, be able to crumple it up, throw it, start another one, those kinds of things. So feel free to do it the way you want. Now we're getting to SWOT analysis. To me, one of the most important parts of this workbook is the SWOT analysis. And I'll tell you why. And that is because this one is the one that challenges you the most. It gives you the instructions on this page about SWOT analysis. And so you're going to really have to check in on your mindset and the demons you have, what's going on in your head. You're going to have to do a lot of that before you really can complete this exercise. Why do I say that? Well, SWOT means strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Okay. Now look at this for a minute and think about that. It says under strengths and weaknesses here, it says the word internal. Do you see that? Under strengths, it says, what are your personal advantages? What advantages does your company have? What do you do better than anyone else? What factors mean that you get the sale? What do other people see as your strengths? When you're doing the strengths, you really, really got to be bold and honest with yourself. Be unhumble, okay? Don't be so modest that you're not really writing down what your 2 strengths are. What are your weaknesses? What could you improve? What should I avoid? What factors lose me the sales? Okay? Believe it or not, I know you think I'm super nice, but I have attitude. And my assistant, Gina, who is a lifelong friend and family member also, checks me on my attitude. My wife checks me on my attitude. My team members check me on my attitude. I got a call yesterday while I was walking the dog from one of my team members, and she basically said, what the heck were you doing telling her just to offer full price? We need to offer about 50 grand over full price. I'm like, oh, didn't look at the comps enough, I guess. So what is that? Checking in, right? Checking in on what your strengths, your weaknesses are. And you get reminders of these all day, every day, if you pay attention to the reminders that are going on in your life. All right. Now, weaknesses and strengths are things you control. Opportunities and threats. Now look over there. They say external. Those are things you don't control, right? What obstacles, like if you look under threats, what obstacles do you face? What are your competitors doing? Now remember, threats are an opportunity for you to grow. How am I going to see the threats in my business and turn them around to become an opportunity? Okay. And how can I take my opportunities and mix them with my strengths so that I'm doing more business as a result of it? Okay. What are opportunities and threats in the industry right now, or in your business? I'd like to say, inventory. How much inventory is on the market? Do you control that? No. Is it an opportunity or a threat? Depends in your market. Okay. Fires, 2 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago, fires in Paradise, California, burnt every structure in the entire city. All right. Paradise, about 2.5 hours from where I live. Well, the town next to Paradise is Chico. Well, they had a lot of threats in their market, but guess what happened to Chico? Within 30 days of all of the insurance checks being written, the average sale price in Chico went up 30 grand in 1 month. In 1 month, the average sale price in the city neighboring. Why? Because people said, I'm not going to wait for my home to be rebuilt. I'm just going to go buy another house in the city next to us, right? So a lot of these things happen. It's a good example of us, how we look at opportunities versus threats and what we call them. Now, what the workbook has, it has a sheet like this blank sheet. What I'd like you to do with this blank sheet is print up about 5 or 6 copies of this blank sheet. First, I want you to sit alone and quiet with yourself and determine what your strengths and weaknesses are. All right. And then what your opportunities and threats are. Now take the other 4 or 5. I'd prefer you do 5 personally, 5 blank ones, and give them to people you know, love, and trust. Let me repeat. You're going to take 5 blank ones and give them to people you know, love, and trust. Your significant other, people in the industry that you're very close to, your best friend over at the other company, whatever. Terry Lopes would be a good person to give it to, because she's very reality based and will help you guys. All of you in that room, you all know Terry. So what are we talking about here? We're allowing people to tell you what they see as your strengths and weaknesses, which will most often be different than what you see as your strengths and weaknesses. And it's important that you let them know, don't be shy. Don't worry about hurting my feelings. I want the truth, because only the truth is going to set me free. It's going to really allow me to be a better me. Give you a quick example. Some of you have heard me say this before, but the first day I did this particular workbook, the number 1 strength I put for myself was patience. When I gave it to Gina and Casey, you know what they said? They said my number 1 weakness was patience. Who do you think was right? Who do you think was more accurate? Well, people can see your blind spots better than you can. So it's important to understand, very important to understand, that you want to get those from people who see you. And I've had people say, what would someone else that's not in real estate know about my opportunities and threats? Believe me, you want their perspective. And that's why, because you are so in the box of real estate that there could be opportunities over here outside of the quote unquote real estate box that you're so used to, and they'd be able to see them and you wouldn't, because of their perspective. All right. So that, to me, one of the best exercises in this whole business plan workbook is taking 5 of these and handing them out to other people. And that's why sometimes it takes a long time to get this workbook done, is because we're waiting for other parts of it to come back. But that gives you an opportunity to be a lot better at it. All right. A lot of this is going to take a lot of thinking, and feeling. There's going to be a lot of feeling. Remember, you're going to fight that feeling of, I'm not enough. Oh, I only have 3 strengths and 19 weaknesses. What? It's okay, guys. Take a breath. Now, why Am I so insistent that you do this now in October? Back when I was traveling to speak a lot more than I do now, 70 flights a year, teaching classes all over the United States and Canada, we would be doing these. We'd start doing these as early as September around the country. And I'd even be asked to do them in January, like after the year had already started, to do a business planning for that year. There's no incorrect time or bad time to do a business plan workbook. But why do I love doing it in October? Because what you decide you're going to create in 2022 can be more effective if you start working on them now. Because look, I don't know what you celebrate, but I still am a Christmas freak, okay? So I'm just going to use this Christmas idea as an example. When my boys were young, I was making a ton of money selling houses, but I always panicked about no paychecks in January to pay for the Christmas gifts I bought in November and December. Do you get that? Like, there's nothing to me more horrible than having a January. And in all the years that my wife and I, my wife now, not the mother of my kids, were dating, it just seemed that I was always broke in January. It was crazy. We got to put money aside so that we can cover your expenses in January and December. But guess what, people? If you look at owning real estate offices, if you've ever owned I used to own 9 Keller Williams franchises, and you were told in school, where, the school of hard knocks for real estate office owners, that your 2 worst months were always going to be November and January. And why was that? Well, because October, November, and December, everybody's celebrating holidays and taking it easy. So there's no closings in January. And around the end of August, early September, when everybody's taking their kids back to school and finishing their last vacations, that affects the closings in November. So if an office owner struggles in November and January, then guess when real estate agents struggle? November and January. So those are statistics in the industry, but guess what? You get to break those statistics for yourself and have great months in November, December, January, and forever, right? All right, so that's the SWOT analysis. You get to go down here. There's another sheet down here where it says compare your strengths and opportunities. And then on your weaknesses, remember this about your weaknesses, guys. Do you want to learn to fix those weaknesses, or do you want to outsource them? Well, sometimes it's going to be one or the other, and sometimes it's going to be a combination of both. Like with my patience issue, it was partially me learning to check my attitude. That's the learning part, but also outsource some of the stuff that caused me to lose my patience. Do you get that? So that's the kind of thing you want to look at the end there. All right, then this income goal sheet. Guys, this is where the numbers are reality. Everything we've done up till now has had mindset and different things that we got to do. But when we get to this goal sheet, you got to decide what you put your name right there, right? Sales executive, that's me. What's my goal net annually? And when you net, that means what are you taking home? And the only way to do that is how much did I gross in commissions and how much did I get to take home from that? So you got to subtract what your broker took, what you paid out. And we got to remember this, in real estate, there's 2 expenses. There's cost of sale and there's operating expenses. Operating expenses are things you pay whether you close a deal or not. And cost of sale is only things you pay when you close a deal. Like if you're on a 70-30 split, you only pay the 30% when you close a deal. But if you have an assistant that you pay all the time, that's a operating expense because you're paying it whether you close a deal or not. So remember that when you're looking at this, that you really want to understand the idea about what am I going to take home, not just what am I making, but what am I keeping. All right. And then these things all calculate out what's your average commission for a listing transaction side. My average listing commission is 2.5. Our average buyer commission is 2.5. That's the average, right? Except I know that my average listing price is much higher than our average buyer price. So you've got to know those kinds of things. And if you don't know them, then, and it's new to you, then this is the time to start predicting based on your market statistics and your ability. Are you working in a higher end market, a lower end market, and what of those are? So you want to look at all these sheets, really sit down, take some time on this, please, ladies and gentlemen. It's easy to run through and write them out, but you really got to take some time, look at your big, hairy, audacious goals or your no shit, no kidding goals and decide what's going into these numbers. Next one is 4 pillars of income. Got a drink. Okay, I've been on Zoom since 7:30 this morning, so we're going on 2 hours and 10 minutes. All right. So the 4 pillars of income are 4 ways. So let's say that you have a goal to close 24 homes in a year. What the 4 pillars of income represents is what are 4 ways, listen to this very carefully, not 4 ways to get a total of 24 transactions, but each way should be able to individually get you your 24 transactions. Does that make sense? So for instance, right now, and we were so excited when open houses got allowed again in the state of California, open houses is one of our pillars. Referrals, okay? Referrals from where? Well, referrals, there's agent referrals, there's sphere of influence referrals, and there's top 50 referrals. If you don't know what top 50 are, guys, one of the links in your free Friday coaching call email down at the bottom is something called a top 50 booklet. You can look that over. Some of you may be buying leads from Zillow. Some of you might door knock. Some of you might call FSBOs and expired. So all your pillars, there's 100 million different pillars. Pick 4. Get really good at one, add another. Get really good at this one, add another. Get really good at this one and add another. Okay. They don't have to be done all right now. It's important that you understand that you need to have 4 pillars of income. This next sheet, business marketing plan. This is you ever heard the commercial where they slap on the face and they say, damn, I could have had a V8. Well, this is like that. These are reminders of things you are doing and things you could be doing. Now, what's important right here? Choose from the following list the activities you will be implementing. Here's what I want you to do. You should never be implementing more than 3 new things in any year. Now, you may be Superman and you want to do more, or you may be more focused and want to do less. No good, bad, right, or wrong. There's just what works. You're never going to hear me say, that's a stupid idea, because it's not. It's whether it works or not. There's no judgment words on ideas. Do they work for where you want to go? Do they work to get you closer to your goals? Now, the main reason that I want you, the recording, guys, is sent out every week. If you're not on the email list, you can just put your email, sorry about that. I'm losing my train of thought, but you can, let's see. Hold on. Okay, I just put my assistant's email again in the chat for some of you who came on later. And you can email her and she'll include you on the email list to receive the emails every week where they're recording. Plus, I think if you just go to YouTube and look for Rick Jiha, I have a channel that has all the recordings to these calls. So, all right, now, here's the one thing you want to look at. What are you already doing and what do you want to do in the future? But I want you to remember one thing. People look at this one page right here and they go, oh my God, I didn't do that. I could be doing that, or I could be doing that. What you have to remember is you're not in real estate for a year. You're in real estate for a career, not a year. And most real estate agents overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in a career. So what you want to remember is, let me look at these. Maybe in 2023, I'll implement this. And in 2024, I'll implement this. Quit trying to do everything at one time. Everything works, nothing doesn't. What does that mean? Not doing anything doesn't work. Being frozen and paralysis analysis, or analysis paralysis, where you want to analyze everything before you do it. Go out and work on it. If it doesn't work, move to something else. Sometimes you got to tweak, like I said in the beginning, you might have to tweak how you're doing the activity to get more results from the activity. This is a great sheet. I love it. If you do nothing else, print this one up and hang it in your office. Check the ones you're doing and check the ones, put a check mark on the ones you're doing and maybe on an X on the ones you want to do in the future. Now, this is a very important part. I really want you to think about it for a minute. There's this thing in personal development called intention versus mechanism, okay? Intention versus mechanism. And what that is what is the biggest deciding factor in your ability to do something that you've never done before? Is it the intention, meaning the desire to do it, or is it the mechanism, which is the how you do it? And through literally thousands and thousands of experiments and masterminds, it's been determined that your ability to achieve a goal is 100% your intention, not the mechanism, not the how, but the desire. And why do I say that? Because it goes back to the asking for help. If you are really intent on doing something or accomplishing something or getting something, then you will just turn over every rock possible until you find it. And that you don't know where the how is going to show up, but it's going to show up because you're going to ask everybody. I remember spreading out to the world many years ago that all I want is to get $10,000 for one speaking engagement sometime, right? Because I was getting $1,500, $2,000, $3,000, sometimes $5,000. But mostly I was getting between $2,000 and $3,000 for speaking engagements. And I kept putting it out there. I kept announcing it to crowds. And sure enough, I announced it in front of a crowd once in 2018. And a guy came out of the crowd after I was done speaking. It was only a 15-minute speech. And he said, I'll pay you $10,000 to do a 3-hour talk for me. I was shocked. Did the talk. My wife was in the room. She'd been hearing me talk since 2005. She said, by far, the best talk I've ever heard you do. I got a 1.5-minute standing ovation, and I got a check for $10,000. And it was because they let me talk about whatever I wanted to. He said, I don't want to tell you what to do. I just want you to go do it. And there was 300 people in the room. It was a great day for me, but I would have never gotten it if I didn't keep announcing to the world, this is what I want. I didn't know how I was going to get it. I just know what I wanted. And by the way, I've had a lot of places where people will call me later and go, why didn't you ask for help? I could have helped you with that. And I go, damn it. All right. So when you look at the goal achievement system, one of the things I wanted to be able to do in my goals was to do 100 push-ups in 5 minutes or less. One of my big goals, hairy, audacious goals. Then one of my big, hairy, audacious goals was $100 million in closed sales in a year. And then another big, hairy, audacious goal was 100 listings in 1 year. When I set the goal down, guys, I write it down right here under goal. Then the biggest question is, why do you want the goal? If the goal, you want the why because my mother told me I should be able to do that, or I suck if I don't, maybe that's not a real goal. Maybe you should erase that. If it isn't your goal, even if it was someone else's idea, if you haven't decided to do it because you needed it for your reasons, you're probably not going to ever be committed or have enough intention to get it. All right. Now, I've heard my coaches say before, double your goals, you big wimp, right? Well, you can't look at a coach and be mad at them for that because they're not really telling you to do. They're saying, have you considered that doubling your goal might be a good idea? But again, if you don't own it, if you don't take that as your own, then don't make it your goal. And my wife would say, why do you want that $100 million goal? What's so big about that? And I go, because I've never done it. It's an accomplishment that's big in the real estate industry. Thousands of other agents have done it. I know I'm capable of doing it, and it will make me feel better about myself. Okay, there's your why. Got it, right? What have been my excuses for failure? Look at the next question. What have been your excuses for failure up till now for that goal? Why haven't I not done 100 push-ups in 5 minutes or less? Well, because I haven't done enough push-ups, period. Okay, so I got to do more push-ups to work my way up to 100 push-ups in 5 minutes or less. What's my resolve? My resolve is, what will I do differently going forward so that I will achieve this goal? Okay, my resolve was I'll do push-ups every day for the rest of my life till I die. That was my resolve, right? I started with 20 and then I worked my way up and I add 5 every month. At one point, I got up to 160 a day, where I went from and I did one day achieve that goal of 100 push-ups in 5 minutes or less. I did achieve it. And then I let go of doing push-ups about 2.5 years into it, 3 years into it. And now I'm back to working up again to that same big, hairy, audacious goal. So consistency was a problem. What is your resolve? To not let go of consistency, to be committed to doing them daily. It's like brushing your teeth, guys. Like, you don't wake up and put on your goal sheet, my goal is to remember to brush my teeth today. You just do it, right? And have you ever celebrated that for 9,753 million days in a row, you brushed your teeth? No, but that's a small victory. So remembering to do those things, okay? Remember that this sheet, look, there's a couple of sheets on it. This sheet is so important, okay? That's why they call it the goal achievement system, because if you take the time to really examine your intention for that goal, why is it a goal for you in the first place? This sheet really helps clarify Do you really want to make this a goal, or is it something you're just writing because it sounds good? All right, stop that. Put down the stuff that's important, make it important, have the intention to do it, and then go after it. The next sheet is the same thing, the goal achievement system, but remember those 6 words: family, faith, fun, friends, fitness, and finances. It's an achievement goal for each of them. There was 5 kids in our family. One of my brothers passed away. So I have me, 2 sisters, and another brother. All right. One of our family goals was to get together in the same room at least twice a year. Okay. Because it's hard for us to do that. We're spread out all over the state. And we're probably going to accomplish it this year because of what our commitment was to seeing each other all in one room twice a year. So what is your faith, faith? What is your goals around that? Why are your goals around that, right? Is that a guilt thing, or is it because you really want to do that? Those are the things to consider. All right. The last thing is the sprint. Really want you to know about the sprint. If my goal is 100 closed listings, then look at what my sprint is. Your sprint is your activities that you must do, or the to-do list. So if I put at the top of this page, my goal is to do 100 listings this year. What are the action items? When are they due, and who they are assigned to? 4 days per week, 90 minutes per day of lead generation. Begin immediately. Who's going to do all the follow-up for me? Gina. Okay, Gina's going to help me. She's going to put it in my calendar to remind me to call back and do all those things. So your list for every goal you have, you should have a sprint sheet. And that's a to-do list on every one of your goals. Does that make sense to everybody? I hope so. All right. Now, we've got a bunch of these sprint sheets, remember, because we're doing one for every goal we did. And I'm just going to skip through all those sprint sheets. They're all the same. And this is our last page of the workbook called the Cash Flow Budget Worksheet. I can't even tell you how important this is. Look, I've been selling real estate for almost 42 years, and I have made tons of money selling real estate. I've had several years, probably more than 7 in my 42 years, where I did over $1 million in commissions. Okay. I have no idea where that money is right now, but I can remember making it. And that is both the good news and the bad news, because we learn lessons from our failures. So that's the good news. But we also sometimes look back and go, you doofus, right? Like I look back at that. But this is what I ignored, these cash flow budget worksheets. What should I be spending versus what I am spending? Where can I cut costs? Since my wife started paying very close attention to my real estate business, we've cut costs. We've remained profitable, because real estate agents tend to look at cash flow as profitability, and it's not. Just there's more cash coming in, but is your business really profitable or not? In other words, after you paid all the expenses, would there be money left over? And that's the whole thing. So understanding what's going out, understanding what's truly a business expense versus something that is really a house expense or a non-real estate business expense. But you have your, board dues, all of those. Remember what I said, there's cost of sale and there's operating expenses, right? Board dues, MLS dues, the gas and car and insurance for your car, and changing the oil and changing the tires. All of those things are expenses in your real estate business, but you've really got to pay attention to it. We've got a rule that says lead with revenue. All right. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute and say lead with revenue is basically about pretty please don't spend money on your real estate business that didn't come from your real estate business. All right. Don't spend money on your real estate business that didn't come from your real estate business. Don't go, I have a friend of mine. She went to her husband. She's a realtor. She does very well. She had a slow period. And she said, honey, lend me $10,000. And he goes, what do you mean? I'm your husband. I'm not going to lend. No, she said, no, this is what I respected about her. She said, I need a loan and I want to pay it back out of my real estate business. I don't want it to be a husband-wife thing. That's what I respect. It's really not about your relationship with the person who gave you the money. But if you're bringing money from an outside source, right, you got to put that down and you've got to pay it back. Even if it's your own savings account that you borrowed it from, your savings account should have been money that's like long gone. Now, if you are keeping every money out of closing into a marketing budget sheet or something like that for your business, that's fine. But you really got to get serious about understanding the finances, because one of the biggest problems in real estate is how many real estate agents owe back taxes. And we only owe those back taxes because we're not paying attention to our money, our finances. All right. So I'm really big about that. And I really want you to start paying more attention to it. Now, I've got 2.5 minutes left. Please unmute yourself if you have a question or if you have a comment, because I do have to bounce at 10 exactly to another Zoom call. But I really want you to know that I'm committed to your success to the level that you're committed to your success. I can't go to bed worrying about you if you're not going to bed worrying about you. Do you get that? Like, take what I'm offering up, use it to the best of your ability. And I'm here first and third Fridays of every month. Happy to do that. Lodi Association, it's such an honor to have you guys all here. Appreciate you being here. And the rest of you that I love and care for from a distance, let me know how I can help you. Anybody have a quick question or a comment?
Rick, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I've done it before a little bit, and it has helped me a lot.
Okay,
Just going through.
Oh, it's Lorena. I can't see who's speaking, but it sounded like Lorena. So, okay, so you're welcome.
It is Lorena.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being on, and appreciate that. And I hope you all got a lot out of it. Gina has posted that it is on the Rick Jiha YouTube channel. The recording will be posted there probably later today or at the latest next week. And then please join me the 15th. We'll be back for the third call. We're going to do some brief review on this, but then we'll have other subject matter too. All right. Okay, everybody. Take care. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Rick.
All right. My pleasure. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Rick.